Setting goals. Possibly the trickiest part of getting what you want in life is just figuring out what you really want. And yet, it is certainly the most important part of all. I have found this to be unfailingly true in my life. As soon as I have a very clear, strong intention to create a particular thing, it manifests almost immediately, often within hours or days of getting clear about it, with very little effort involved. The most extreme example of this in my own life was the 10-year process of deep emotional healing that I went through in order to get clear about my intention to find my life partner. Although I thought I was ready for this to happen, I discovered that I had much deep fear and ambivalence. Once I was able to acknowledge these feelings consciously and work with healing my fears, my intention became clear. 3 weeks later, I got together with a man who is now my husband. Discovering what you want in your life can be facilitated by the process of setting goals. I often find it helpful to do some exercises with pen and paper, which I share with you here. When you are working on setting goals, it's important to keep a few things in mind. Remember that setting goals does not mean that you are stuck with those goals. You can change them as often as you want to and feel it's necessary. Goals can be made in the spirit that life is an enjoyable game to be played and one that can be deeply rewarding. They are not to be taken too heavily or seriously. At the same time, you must give them enough weight and importance so they are of real value to you. You may find that the very process of choosing goals brings up a certain amount of emotional resistance in you. You might experience this in various different ways, such as feeling depressed, hopeless, or overwhelmed at the thought of trying to set goals. Or you might feel the desire to distract yourself by eating, sleeping, or other activities. These emotional reactions, if you should have them, are clues to the ways in which you avoid getting what you want in life. It's important to go ahead and experience these feelings and reactions, to go through them and proceed with the process. Once you get into it, you'll find it of value. Then again, you may thoroughly enjoy the whole process and find it very expansive, fun, and enlightening. I hope so. Don't make the choosing of goals too complicated or significant. Start with simple, obvious things. Remember, you can always change and develop them as you go along. Exercises. 1. Sit down with a pen and paper and write down the following categories: personal growth education, work career, relationships, creative self-expression, money, lifestyle possessions, leisure, travel. Now, keeping in mind your present life situation, write down under each category some things you would like to have, to change, or to improve upon in the near future. Don't think too hard about it, simply write down any ideas that come to your mind as good possibilities. The purpose of this exercise is to loosen you up and get you thinking about what you want in the various areas of your life. 2. Take another piece of paper and write at the top: if I could be, do, and have everything I want, this would be my ideal scene. Now list the same 7 categories, and after each one, write a paragraph or 2, or however much you want, describing your absolute ideal situation in life as far as you can fantasize about it. The purpose of this exercise is to stretch and expand you beyond your present limits. So let your imagination take over and really let yourself have everything you could ever want. When you have finished this, add one more category: world situation, environment. Describe the kinds of changes you would like to see happen in the world in your lifetime, if you could have the power to change things. World peace, the end of poverty, people becoming conscious of one another and the earth, living in harmony with nature, schools transformed into exciting learning centers, hospitals becoming true centers of healing, and so on. You can be as creative as you like with this category, and you may find that you have all kinds of interesting ideas you never thought of before. Now reread the whole thing and meditate on it a while. Create a mental picture for yourself of a wonderful life in a beautiful world. 3. Again, take a fresh sheet of paper. Based on what seems most meaningful from the ideal scene you have created above, write a list of the 10 or 12 most important goals for your life, as you feel them to be right now. Remember, you can change and revise this list at any time, and you should do so from time to time. 4. Now write down my 5-year goals and list the most important goals you would like to achieve within the next 5 years. In writing your goals, be sure to put down things that are real and meaningful to you, things that you actually want, not what you think you should want. No one else need ever see your goals unless you want him or her to, and this process requires that you be totally honest with yourself. 5. Repeat the process above with your goals for 1 year. Don't make too many. If you have a lot at first, eliminate all but the 5 or 6 most important ones. Check to see that they are in alignment with your 5-year goals. That is, make sure they are moving in the same general direction so that when you accomplish your 1-year goals, you will be a step closer to your 5-year goals. For example, if one of your 5-year goals is to own your own business, one of your 1-year goals might be to have a certain amount of money saved toward that end, or to have a job in a similar business where you are getting a certain type of experience you will need. Now write out your goals for 6 months from now, 1 month, and 1 week from now. Again, keep it simple and choose the 3 or 4 that are most important to you. Be realistic about how much you can accomplish in the shorter range goals. Again, make sure they are in alignment with your longer range goals. I suggest that you keep your goals in your notebook. Every now and then, perhaps every month or so, or whenever it feels like a helpful thing to do, sit down with your notebook and do some of the processes again, revising and reshaping your goals as needed. Be sure to date your paper each time you do this and keep your lists in order in your notebook, as it is very interesting and informative to look back and see how they gradually evolve. Some general rules. 1. For short-range goals, 1 week, 1 month, be fairly simple and realistic. Choose things that you are pretty sure you can accomplish, unless you especially feel like taking on a big challenge, which can be good sometimes. The more long-range your goal, the more expansive and imaginative you can be so that your horizons are constantly extended. 2. When you find that you have not accomplished some of your goals, which will inevitably happen, do not criticize yourself or assume that you have failed. Simply acknowledge clearly to yourself that you have not accomplished that goal and decide whether or not it is still a goal for you. That is, decide whether you want to set it again for yourself or whether you want to let it go. It is most important that you acknowledge unaccomplished goals in this way. Otherwise, they may accumulate in the back of your mind and you will feel unconsciously that you have failed, which will eventually make you tend to avoid the goal-setting process. 3. When you find that you have accomplished a goal, even a small one, be sure to acknowledge yourself for that. Give yourself a pat on the back and enjoy at least a moment of satisfaction about it. All too often we accomplish our goals and forget to even notice or enjoy the fact that we have done so. 4. Don't take on too much at once. Set goals that feel good to you. If you feel overwhelmed, confused, or discouraged, simplify. You may want to work on goals in one area of your life only, such as your job or your relationships. This process is ultimately to help you enjoy your life more. If you set a lot of goals that you don't accomplish, you are probably either setting them unrealistically high or setting goals that you don't truly desire and therefore have no real inner intention of pursuing. Choose goals that you genuinely like and want and are realistic for you. Your goals should make you feel good, uplifted, expanded, full of pleasure, challenged. If not, find ones that do.